You could have your letterbox bars pop in like that, or you could have them fade in like that. Which one looks better? Leave a comment below. Welcome back to Creator Reality, my friend. Today we're going to dive into Davinci Resolve, and I'm going to show you both ways to make those letterbox bars, one of which is going to be reusable. It only takes a few minutes to set it up, but once you're done, you'll have a reusable drag and drop effect that you can use on all your projects. So let's jump into Davinci Resolve and I'll show you what we're working with. Here we have my timeline and I've got my epic motorcycle riding footage. And I want to make this letterbox. You know, I've got a music section or something special, and I want to clue the viewer in that something special is happening. Something special may not actually be happening, but let's do it anyway. So the first thing we can do is go to Effects, and we're going to make these the easy way first. We're going to come to Effects, so we're in Effects, Adjustment Clip. We're going to drag one on, stretch it to length, and then we're going to click on the inspector. If you don't see it, it's over here. And I can come down to cropping, and I can crop the top by, say, 180 pixels, tab over twice, and change the bottom. There, we've cropped. You could do this on the clip itself, or you could take this clip, this adjustment clip, and we're in the inspector, come over to File, change it to Crop, or whatever you want to call. And then we can come to our media pool, and we can go into our master media pool and drag this clip in, and it'll drop it right there. Ta-da! You could drop it into a subfolder, but now we have this crop effect that we can drag on anywhere. And if I Alt and drag to make a copy of this clip, you can see it's letterbox too, and we've got a copy of crop. So we will undo all of that. And with all that undone, we can come to the start of our clip and shift right to go, say, 2 seconds. So shift right, and we'll click on our keyframe icon, come back to the start, and click on the crop top, type 0, tab 0, and they're gone. Now we can come to the end and shift left twice to go back 2 seconds, create another keyframe, go to the end of the clip, and again, change these to 0, and now you'll see that they fade in. Well, if you want them to be smooth, and trust me, this builds everything that we need to understand and the why we're going to do this reusable fusion thing in just a minute. Now in our keyframes here, we can right click on our keyframe, so we can use the left and right arrows, and we can right click, say ease in, and then go to the first one, ease out, click over 2 more, see we're towards the end of the clip, right click, ease out, and then go to the last set of keyframes, right click and ease in. Now watch. So what you'll notice there is that our crop effect started off slow, got faster, and then slowed down again at the end. So that makes for a smoother transition. This is all very important to know when we go into Fusion in a minute and tinker around with that. So just keep that in the back of your cranium. And then at the end of our clip, it's going to do the same smooth transition out. But let's say we don't want to do that. We don't want to manually create keyframes, because what if we change the length here? Well, now it goes straight from cropping to no cropping. That's no good. We got to fix that. So I'm going to click on my crop, backspace to get rid of it. And we're going to come back into Effects. And instead of grabbing an adjustment clip, we'll grab a Fusion composition. We'll drag it on. We can press Control D, make sure it's 5 seconds. This part's kind of important. Make sure you do this. Cancel that out. And then we're going to click on the Fusion icon here, or you can right click and open in Fusion page. Now this gives us a media out 1 and nothing else. So I am going to scroll around, and you can drag this bar up and down to make more room. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a background node. So we've got a background right here, and it needs a rectangle polygon mask, and that's this one right here. And then we're going to connect them. And now this is the basis for our cropping. With rectangle 1 selected, we're going to come over to height, and we're going to double click it and type 0.9. And then for width, we'll double click it and type in 1. So we've changed the width and the height. Doesn't matter what frame you're on, but this is the basis for it. So we're going to select these two, lasso select them, Control C, click an empty space, Control V. That creates a duplicate. And we're going to create another duplicate. And now we're going to rename these. So we're going to call this one Rect 010. And then we're going to press F2 and rename this one Rect 020. And then we'll press F2 here, and I don't know why it keeps moving it, but whatever. Rect 030, and that's good. So this is our first set. This is going to be the 0-second transition time. Now, if you have other transition times that you want, or you have other percentages you want, feel free to use this as a jumping off point so that you get all the settings that you want. Okay, I'm going to show you 3 and 3. So we're going to have 10, 20, and 30% crops, and we're going to have 0, 1, and 2 second animation times. Now we're going to click in empty space, shift spacebar. We're going to type in switch or SW. There's our switch. Press F2 to rename it. We're going to call this one SW crop. Okay, so that's the amount of crop we're going to have. Now under our source, it has input 0 and input 1. That is not descriptive. So we'll click config, and we'll drag the number of inputs to 3. It adds the name 2 there. And we're going to change this to 10% for name 0, 20% for name 1, and 30% for name 2. Now that's set up. We can connect these. And if you hover your mouse over the inputs on the switch, it shows you which is which. So that one says 10%. Well, we know that we named this one 10%. We're going to drag it over, and then we're going to drag 30% into here, which leaves 20% right over there. And Davinci Resolve will automatically organize these. But John, I haven't done any changes to the other polygons. Let's fix that. So we're going to click on Rect 020, and we'll just double click on height and type in 0.8. And then Rect 030, we can type in 0.7. Now they're all set up. Now we need 2 more copies of this, but we're only going to make 1 for now, and I'll show you why in a second. But we're going to need an instance of our crop. So with SW crop selected, we're going to press Control C to copy, and then we're going to click in blank space, and we're going to press Control Shift V to paste an instance. And you'll see it has instance in the name. So it's instance SW crop. Now the source is already set up, and the config is already set up. And if you notice, this number of inputs has a green box around it. What that means is that this setting of the switch node is instanced. You can de-instance it by right-clicking and selecting de-instance, but this works for just about every node that I've seen in Fusion. So kind of a handy thing to remember if you're building your own effects and you need instances of things, right? Now, I know what you're asking, well, can't you instance the other objects? And I could, but it's faster to do it this way, at least for me. Your mileage may vary. Leave me a comment below if you've tried this at home and it worked out better for you. Anyway, I'm going to move this one down, and I'm going to connect up my different backgrounds. And I know this looks like the green line was going in, but when I move it to the side, you can tell it's not going into that input. So we're going to connect up to 20. And now we're going to need a little bit more space. So let's bring this down. With background 1, 3 selected, press the 1 key and it'll come up in the left viewer. So here's a handy tip. If you find yourself screwed up with something, you can lasso select multiple nodes and they all show up here. So I can go into the settings and apply mask inverted. Click on this one, settings, apply mask inverted, and just really quickly fix them all. You can use your imagination as to whether or not I screwed this one up or I did this on purpose to show you another tip. Have you learned anything yet? Boop the like button if you've learned anything. But now I've inverted the mask on all of them. So now we have a 10% crop over here. And if I click on background 1, 1 and press the 1 key, you'll see we have more crop and then even more crop. And you can double check to make sure that we've got them all inverted right there, the mask inputs. So we're all good. Now we need keyframes. We want the fancy smoothing in keyframes, right? So we're going to come to Rect 010.1. We have to rename these now. So it's Rect 110. The second one will be Rect 120. And the last one will be Rect 130. Just keeps everything organized. I'm going to click on Rect 110 and I've got no keyframes. So I'm going to go click on the 30th keyframe to make sure. You can look over here. It's 30th keyframe. And I'm going to come over to height and click on the red dot or gray dot, make it red, and that sets a keyframe. Then I can go all the way back to frame 0. See, we're on frame 0. And I'm going to come and double click on height and type in 1. Now, this hasn't changed because background 1, 3 is not selected. Background 1, 2, 1 is. So I can press 1 on background 1, 3, and you can see that it's now, hey, look at that. It's cropping. Good. Now we can go, we have 150 frames. So we're going to go to frame 120 because we have a 30 frame, 1 second clip, right? That we want the animation to go out on. So I'm going to click to make a keyframe here, drag it to the end, double click, 1. That creates the keyframe for it. Now I can do the same thing on here. So click on 3, keyframe it, drag to 0, double click, 1, come to 120, create a keyframe, drag to the end, double click, 1. And I can do the same thing for the last one, which is our 30% crop. Now we have keyframes for our 1 second crop because the 0 second crop doesn't need them, right? But this one does. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So now we want to smooth things out, right? Well, not so fast. Let's create everything else, and I'll show you a shortcut in the spline editor in just a minute. And if you don't know what a spline editor is, fret not, I will show you. So now I'm going to press Control C with the instance SW crop selected. Click in blank space, Control Shift V to make another instance. And I'm going to lasso select all these rectangles and background nodes, Control C, click an empty space, Control V, drag them up. Let's do a rename real quick. Now they're all renamed. They all have keyframes. This will be the 10. This bottom one should be 30. So we're going to connect all these up. And now that everything's connected, we're going to click on the spline editor and it comes up right here. Nothing is selected, but we have all our names here, right? And these are all the things with keyframes. So we're going to select all these, make sure you have a checkbox in them, and you'll see that something isn't connected right. Okay, not a problem. This makes sure that everything is set up properly. So where do I have my keyframes? Do I have one here? I've missed the first one. There. Let's do this one. It's going to be this one here. Yep, this one here is missing one. Ta-da! Now everything looks right, doesn't it? Well, we can come in here and select all. And this is our zoom to fit, and you'll see that there's only 3 keyframes. That's fine. So we're going to come in here and select all of them with our lasso select tool and press F on our keyboard. And now it's flattened everything out. But John, if we need a 2-second thing, how do we move the keyframes around? Here comes another shortcut in the spline editor. Check this out. So I'm going to unselect by double clicking on these boxes here, my rect 1, leaving just the 2-second ones selected. And then I can lasso select these keyframes, hold shift, and drag them over until they're at the 60th keyframe. Now, to make sure that we got the right keyframe, we can come over and just click on rect 210. You'll see the keyframe is right there at 60. Well, now we need to move the other ones. Watch this. If I select these 3 keyframes, hold shift, and start dragging them left, I can move it all the way to 90. How cool is that? Now we know we're on frame 90. And what the shift key does is it makes sure that whichever direction you're dragging, it keeps everything else in line. If I don't hold it and I move this keyframe around, I can really get it wonky. But as soon as I hold shift, now it only lets me move it up and down. And if I let go of shift and move it around, and then I want to drag left and right, I can do that by holding shift again. It's just kind of stops you from making mistakes. So Control Z to undo. Now all our keyframes are set up. We can hide the spline editor. We have all of our fancy keyframes done. But how do we select which of these setups we want to use? Well, in empty space, we're going to click and then shift spacebar, and switch is already selected. So we're going to click add, and then we're going to press F2 and call it SW seconds. Now we have another switch, and then we want to come into config, drag it to 3, and we want to type in here 0 seconds, 1 second, and 2 seconds. And I'm using tab to go between the different numbers of inputs there, the different inputs rather. Now we can connect up our crops, and we know that this crop goes with 0 seconds. So we want to check out this. Yep, 0 seconds, cool. And then this one's going to be 2 seconds. So we can drag this one up, and then that leaves one open one here. And now the pièce de résistance. Something else I've covered on the channel, but this makes this reusable without having to rebuild anything. Check this out. I'm gonna click with my mouse wheel and drag over to make space, drag media out 1 over rather, and then I'm gonna click on SW seconds, press Shift Spacebar, and put a keyframe stretcher in there. And then we're gonna connect the output to media out 1, and with keyframe stretcher selected, I'm going to come up here, source start is 0, source end, we're going to double click, type in 150. Now our stretch start is selected, we're going to type in 61, tab, and type in 89. So everything that's in between all the keyframes that we made gets stretched. So if you make it shorter than 5 seconds, things are going to get a little wonky. But anything longer than 5 seconds, and things are going to be gravy. Yeah, I'm trying to make gravy happen, help me out. No? No? Okay, back to it. So now we have all these nodes created. How do we let ourselves select the seconds and the crop amount from the edit page? Well, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm going to select everything. And if you can't see everything here, you can either drag up on this bar right here and then scroll out of the way. See, if I come over here, yeah, if I scroll out a little bit, this little preview legend map deal pops up, but everything is visible. It's not there. So now with everything selected, we can right click on any node, come up to group, and it puts everything in a box. Then we're gonna press F2 and we're gonna type in LetterBox. There it is. And we can double click this because we wanna open it up. And there we go, everything's created in here. So with LetterBox selected, come up to the blank space here, right click, and select Edit Controls. And then you'll get this giant box because normally I edit on a 4K monitor, but I have this one over here for recording my screen recordings. Go figure. Just makes it easier. I don't have to zoom in. So under here, we're going to type in time to animate, which gives us an idea of time to animate. But we're going to type in anim seconds and ignore everything else. But we're going to scroll down to combo control for input controls. And then we're going to make this bigger. And under items, it's seconds, right? So we'll type in 0 seconds, click add. Change this to 1 second, click add. Change it to 2 seconds, click add. Click OK. Then I'm going to right click and edit controls again. And this time it came up the right size. So I don't know. It's something to do with my computer probably. But anyway, now we need a crop percentage. So we're going to type in crop amount, which creates the crop amount ID. That's fine. And then we can scroll down to combo control. And again, we can make this bigger. And we're going to type in 10%. There you can see it. Click add. Change it to 20%. Add. 30%. Add. Click OK. Now, under SW crop, and this is why we instanced it, besides setting it up for us automatically, we can come over here to controls, right click on source, choose expression, select everything in there, backspace, and type in crop amount. Then we can come to SW seconds. We'll come over to controls, right click on source, choose expression, select what's there, and we'll type in anim seconds. Now when I click on LetterBox, I have a user tab that has time to animate 0 seconds. We'll change that to 2 and crop amount to 20%. Whatever you select here before we save this to be reusable will be what the default is when you go to drag and drop this. So keep that in mind. Now we want to right click on our LetterBox, go to settings, save as, and we can come up to Fusion, come down to templates, edit, and it's very important you choose generators, and I'm going to use letterbox.setting. I'll press save, and now it's been saved. So when I come back to the edit page, and I can move my Fusion composition out of the way, under effects, generators, we can click the little magnifying glass and type in letter, and there's LetterBox. Now when I drag it on, click on it, you can see 2 seconds and 20%. And now that we have our render cache done, you can watch it does the really slick in and out. But if I drag this out further, you can see it does the really slick, same 2 second in animation. And then towards the end of the clip, it's going to do a 2 second out animation. And it's the slickness, right? And you can make this any length that you want. So how cool is that? we have 2 ways of creating letterbox effects in Davinci Resolve. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, boop the like button, consider subscribing, maybe leave me a comment below letting me know other cool things you want to see me show you how to do in Davinci Resolve. That really sounded egotistical, but I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love doing this stuff. And until next time, check out this video that YouTube has curated from my catalog for you, and I hope you're having a great day. John out.